Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to GeekWatch, a subsidiary of the monastery, the open bar of the internet. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have two of my good brothers here in the temple. We have the man carrying brooms for his beloved Habs, good brother Matty.
Hello, go Habs, go!
And we have the man who bleeds red and black, good brother Mace.
That was the only Australian football reference you could pull out of your ass, wasn't it?
Well, no, it wasn't the only one. I just figured I'd go with the obvious one because you're the one who said it.
That's true. It did once upon a time, and believe me, that the bleeding red and black has become fucking hemorrhage that is draining me fucking dry this year. God, we'll have a shit year. Thank God it's almost September in of what, 6 months? 3 months, and we will lose yet another year. End up probably somewhere down around about the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Essendon Bombers, we ain't doing good.
I have the misfortune. Well, given where I live, I have the misfortune of dealing with. I was gonna say constant pain, but that seems to not exactly be the case lately. Except on the other hand, I also watch Arsenal. That team is going to kill me one of these days.
It could be worse. You could be following whatever Ryan Reynolds' team is.
Oh, Wrexham? Yeah, Wrexham AFC, right?
I was gonna say, are we talking about Wrexham or are we talking about Alpine? Because they both suck.
Probably Wrexham, because it's been Wrexhaming his bank account for quite a while now.
I mean, it could be worse. I could be a fan of Real Madrid.
Yeah, at least Wrexham wins more often than not.
They also don't cry like babies whenever they lose, or bully a referee into giving a tearful apology, because yeah, that happened. Not even a while ago.
That Hollywood money.
Like Real Madrid acts like they're the big swinging dick in Spain, when everybody knows no, it's not them. It's Barcelona. It has been Barcelona for the last 10 years.
Question: is Arsenal equivalent to the Dallas Cowboys / Toronto Maple Leafs?
No, worse. They're the Browns.
Oh,
Actually, let me take that back. Because of the Arsenal bottling meme, they are Georgia. Which sport in Georgia?
Ooh.
Yes.
The football team? No, that's valid.
Like all of them, because being a fan of Georgia sports is an act of masochism. We have discussed this.
Hi, Coops. How are you?
Whenever I say that, some people are thinking, "Oh, you're talking about just 28-3." No. Bulldogs are chokers. The Braves are chokers. The Falcons are chokers. The only team
the Thrashers, when they were a hockey team, were chokers.
The Hawks, well, they're chokers whenever they're relevant. Although I will give them credit for Trae Young triggering New York. Then again,
yeah, that's
triggering Knicks fans is not hard to do.
No, but it is, as always, very fucking satisfying.
So, this particular idea I had for this episode, which I came up with the title as an ad-lib, and it was just too perfect not to use.
I think we were talking about, because at the time I was just binge watching some urinating tree videos, one of which was his analysis and breakdown of the 2020-2021 Montreal Canadiens, whose video was called "The Price of a Moment."
I think it was The Price of a Mile, and where the idea really came was one particular angle that was defended as a viral moment, And while we were watching AEW together, I just spitballed that and it stuck. But
I think we were talking about this John Cena heel turn.
yeah, we'll get to that. Believe me, we'll get
Oh,
to
yeah.
that.
It's on the list, but,
Mm.
but this goes deeper than this year alone, really.
Mm-hmm.
Or
So
even last year alone.
after about a year, I fielded the idea of doing an evaluation on Paul Triple H Levesque as a booker. And you guys had said to wait a bit because it'd be better to wait for at least 2 years worth of material.
Yeah, I believe because this was just after WrestleMania 39 where the kernel of the idea hit.
Mhm.
And we were talking about that, and a lot of the stuff that Triple H was doing all the way up to WrestleMania 40 was still under the influence of what Vince McMahon had booked or had long-term plans of. Yes, even in this late stage, he had at least one or two long-term plans. You kind of have to book WrestleMania to WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to do this sooner, but you guys talked me out of it, saying that we should have at least 2 years worth of material. And
It
Maddie,
was
I
after
think...
the first WrestleMania in Vegas
Mhm.
that you wanted to jump in on, and we were like, let's see how the John Cena thing turns out.
Mm-hmm. And unlike some YouTubers who are high on their own farts, I actually listen to my colleagues. So I was like, all right, I will revisit this in 1 year's time at next year's WrestleMania. I didn't even get that. I didn't even get that far before I was like, no, we're doing this after April.
It didn't take. I think it was at the when the backlash of the John, or the beginning of the fuck up of John Cena's heel turn there, where you were yeah, we're playing this out.
Mm-hmm.
And folks, that heel turn was tip of the iceberg.
Oh yeah. But
yeah, little did we realize that at that particular point in time, we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. We didn't see the rest of the iceberg that was heading towards the Titanic.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is, I don't think we're even hitting the iceberg yet. At time of recording, we're seeing the iceberg. We know, if you remember the James Cameron movie, not for the obvious shit and the payment, there's a scene where there's a couple dudes at the at the crow's nest freezing their balls off, looking ahead, and then berg. And they're going way too fast to avoid it.
Yep.
They're about to pull the brakes on it. That's where WWE is at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Although, in this analogy, TKO doesn't give a fuck. They're not even making breaks or whatever. They're going full steam of fucking head.
And I think there was a running gag for several weeks where I kept saying April can't come soon enough.
Yeah, she's only breathing heavy.
Yeah.
Because we were just getting more and more ammo with every bit of news that we were getting, or every bit of eyebrow raising booking. Now,
and then you just peel back to some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Both confirmed and confirmed, reported, and just straight up rumor.
Yeah. Now,
but this is the end of our story. Technically, we got to start at the beginning. Obviously,
yes, we have to start at how many eras ago are we at now? 6.
Armbar. Sorry. That many eras.
Mm-hmm. So, obviously, this whole thing starts when Paul Levesque takes over after all of the after the last straw public shitstorm, shortly after the sale to Endeavor and the forming of TKO Holdings.
So it starts just a little bit after that.
Mm-hmm. And Vince thought that when he pushed for the deal with Ari Emanuel, he thought that he was going to be on that as a part of that deal, and was for a brief time. But even back then, there were letters within the conglomerate that he could be a liability. And then
And
the
for those
Janelle
wondering,
Grant
this
stuff
was
happened.
July 25, 2022, officially speaking.
Yep. So 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Then the Janelle Grant stuff happened, and caused such a shitstorm that Vince was allowed to resign, quote unquote.
Yeah. So for the basic gist of it, and if you watch, we'll recommend a couple of things for those who are just looking to dig a little deeper. Obviously, you could Google it, but the 6th episode of the Mr. McMahon docu-series on Netflix does cover in some detail. It is WWE produced, so grain of salt territory must be covered, but it is covered quite seriously, if only they skin deep in a sense. Like they acknowledge it, but they don't go deep in it. But long story short, the lawsuit hits, and then people wondering, oh, it's just another lawsuit. And then the Wall Street Journal looks into it. Oh no, this is some deep shit. Cover it at your own time. That thing is an episode in its own right. I don't think we're going to cover it on this platform, but if someone does want it, I think many podcasters have covered it extensively.
The legal case is technically still ongoing, because the last thing certain people want on that case is for it to go to Discovery. And
yeah, the gist of it is if it goes to Discovery, McMahon is fucked.
Yep. And after that happens, Levesque is made COO and head of creative. And the new president is Nick Khan.
There was a point where, like, there's a lull where Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon, who had left the company, returns to be co-CEO. And then McMahon comes back for a spell. Stephanie goes back into hiding. Nick Khan is there. The Janelle Grant thing happens, and then McMahon finally is allowed to resign. So for a timeline, for just a basic layman's terms timeline, that's where we're at right now on that.
And as this is going on, we're leading up to WrestleMania.
39 for those wondering.
Which was the whole Goes Hollywood one.
Yeah, the one at SoFi Stadium, which a lot of pundits, myself included, maintain that's where the story should have ended.
Yep.
But they decided to pull a WWE.
Yeah, we were.
This is at the point where it's Triple H running things and not TKO completely. Yeah.
And of course, things happened the way they did because not enough adversity. Which I remember Ollie having a field day with that, with the adversity jokes.
Yeah, we a lot of us called bullshit on that. Like the crowd was, I mean, they lucked out with WrestleMania 40, but at 39, maximum interest, maximum hype. Everyone just wanted the bloodline to end at WrestleMania 39.
Especially since the whole bloodline thing had been going for, 3 years by that point?
Yeah.
So, obviously, between WrestleMania 39 and 40, you have the whole thing with The Rock, who's on the board of directors now. The fact that they unironically thought that they would have Cody, who won the Royal Rumble, give up his spot to the Rock. And even in podcasts with some of the creatives who were involved in that, they had no idea that was going to be a bad call. They thought there was nothing wrong with what they had done.
Oh no. This was the first time TKO pulled the TKO, but they were smart enough to realize, oh wait, this isn't going to work.
And that would actually be the worst decision The Rock had made that year, because after that it was just, and it's still somewhat of a downward spiral for him. He's all but disappeared. The last real public thing The Rock was involved in was Smashing Machine, which was decent, I will admit. But a lot of the little appearances all over the place, he hasn't done any of that. And obviously WWE wanted to do a Rock Roman Reigns match for years on end.
Yeah, this was we want to do this forever. Like, this was the match for, I think, 38. This was originally slated for 39, and then, oh shit, Cody's become hot. We got to do something there.
Mm-hmm.
And The Rock pussed out. Let's call it what it is.
It was the case of either...
The ultimate thing with the Bloodline storyline was originally meant to be Roman versus The Rock for the title of being the head of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was going to be tribal combat. The Ulafala was going to get involved. The whole nine.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes it was an issue of schedule conflicts. Other times it was an issue of him just not wanting to do it for reasons that are a question to the great minds of this business, because clearly my mind is not great enough for that. And then the final straw, which I think would really sold that, was the fact that the YouTube video where that whole handing off the title shot was done is one of the most disliked videos on WWE's channel.
That's we're now talking lead up to 30, so
not 30.
Sorry, 40. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was the first. First of all, it was the first time in many years where they've done a storyline where the winner of the Royal Rumble was going to hand off his WrestleMania title match to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just the fact that it was somebody else. It was the fact that it was The Rock, a guy that we had barely seen, that we now know holds a place on the board of directors, and possibly stockholder and all that in TKO. Mm-hmm. And it came across very, very forced, where it was like I'll use the term. It was Hogan-esque.
Yeah, let's throw that in there. I think he was trying to pull a Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Yeah, he inserting himself into a storyline, into something that he had absolutely no reason to be involved in, simply because, well, we're going into 40. It's a big celebration year. We're going to be in a one of our highest selling WrestleManias for the next few years, and I want to be in the main event. And he wasn't going to lose. He was going to walk out of there with the WWE Universal title.
Yeah,
like the Rock was going to walk away WrestleMania 40 as the ultimate champion, as the final boss, which was a character that was born out of this whole thing. And a lot of the times, that's why the match with Roman didn't go ahead, was because he had somebody like Triple H, who at that time was still new to being in the position, but he was doing his almost McMahon Helmsley era. This is what best for business. You know, that type of thing. And The Rock's going, that doesn't work for me. So, you know, you had Triple H who was saying the best thing for The Rock to do would be to put Roman Reigns over and make him the head of the table and walk away from the title WrestleMania 39, 40 or whatever. The Rock's going, no, I want to win because I'm The Rock. I'm the bigger name. It's like, no, you're not anymore. Dude, you've been gone for nearly 20 years at this point. Nobody gives a fuck.
You're a legacy name. That's it.
And in addition to all of that, you have the fact that let's not forget he was coming off of the fact that he got ran out of town with both DC and Fast and Furious for his attitude supposedly. Like wanting to use Black Adam as a means to book himself into a movie opposite Superman, and supposedly having that thing in his contract about not losing a fight, as well as the fact that he had this ridiculously petty set of conflicts with Vin Diesel.
He wanted top billing next to Vin Diesel. He believed that his name was a significant draw or a higher draw than the man who is synonymous with the Fast and the Furious series. Which is why they ended up doing Hobbs and Shaw, because they were supposed to do another Fast and Furious, and Vin Diesel said, "Go fuck yourselves. If you're going to have him in there, I don't want nothing to do with it."
Yeah. And I know the question to be asked: why are we bringing up all this stuff with The Rock? This is in the business we call foreshadowing. Now, obviously, WrestleMania 40 happens, is a massive success. People have made Avengers Endgame comparisons because of how booked both nights were. And oddly enough, that comparison is fairly accurate, but probably not for the reasons people would hope. Because what success has the MCU had since Avengers Endgame?
Not much.
And yeah, WWE is raking in the money, but in terms of public consciousness, it's not in the same setup.
It's not in the same setup, but the biggest problem with 40, as we already said, was The Rock's involvement, because essentially they were trying to pour water on the fire. Cody Rhodes, over the last now 2 years, has been in WrestleMania main events. He's won the Royal Rumble twice. And the whole thing for Cody Rhodes was finish the story. Which was basically, since he's come back from AEW, he has been on this thing of, I want to finish the story. I want to finish my family's story. I want to finish my journey and become world champ. The one thing that my father could never do, the one thing that I could never do, the one thing that my brother could never do, even though my brother can out wrestle me 20 times over. Yes, I'm saying Dustin can beat Cody every day of the week. And by that point, the crowd was so behind Cody. Like, this is the only way to explain how over Cody was in wrestling terms. This was the Yes Movement 2.0. This was somebody who organically, with how much he had changed and matured thanks to his time in AEW and in Japan, came back to WWE and was coming back a bigger star than when he left, and he was able to connect with the crowd, being an underdog and just being a very humble person. Like, if you could ask anybody in the wrestling circles, they will tell you the two most humble people on the planet when it comes to WWE: Cody Rhodes and John Cena.
Oh yeah.
Like they are the most humble, down-to-earth people, and they are very thankful to the fans. And that is what connected Cody to the fans, and the crowd got behind him. Now, for The Rock to come in and go, hand me your, you're going to give me your soul, Cody, was essentially what they were saying. But it was basically, you're giving me your Royal Rumble title shot. I'm going to take your spot, and there's nothing you can do about it because I'm the final boss. I'm a part of TKO. Shut your mouth, motherfucker. All that type of stuff. And they basically were trying to put out that Cody Rhodes fire, because if there's one thing, and this is one thing I hate WWE for in general, is that when somebody gets over organically and connects with the crowd and gets a big movement behind them that they did not create or they didn't plan for, they try to put water on the fire. They try to get it out. They tried to do it with Daniel Bryan when the Yes Movement thing happened. They tried so hard to do that.
The Cody Rhodes soul thing, that was for WrestleMania 41, if I remember correctly, correct?
That was, but
Yeah,
in the lead up to
we'll
40
get to
where we
that
saw
one.
where we started seeing the final boss thing. In
yeah.
addition, there was the whole thing of him, bloodying up Cody, doing the whole "don't fuck with the final boss" and having a weight belt with Mama Rhodes written on it.
Rock was trying to. They were flying by the seat of their pants, but credit where credit's due. It got a reaction, which, there you go. There's the reaction. There's the price. There's the moment.
There was a bit of weirdness with that People's Champion belt.
The moment thing with that, like the whole price of the moment, going viral started becoming the big thing around this time.
Yeah.
Because you could start seeing that TKO were wanting to look at the way WWE presents itself. They were looking for more things that they could do that would be, showing up on like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, short videos. So they had The Rock attack Cody Rhodes after a show in the parking lot, and they relied on fan footage for at least a week of the encounter to go viral. Then they released their own version of it. They started doing the same thing. They did the same thing with when Kevin Owens and Cody.
Yeah, I was going to bring up, it was one of the first big things they did to get virality involved was a behind the scenes thing where you bring up Kevin Owens. Cody would come to his bus. Kevin gets pissed and turns to Kevin. It turns, albeit briefly, into Kevin's team and just decides blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did a couple of times with the Owens with Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yeah,
and this was the return of the Winged Eagle for one night only, and Owens took that belt with him, and then there was a whole package pile driver as well. But when Owens took the belt, he got, Triple H came out and, what the fuck are you doing? And it was all fan footage. Same thing was happening here in the lead up to this, what ended up being a tag match. And it would be which again was stupid because Cody already had won the Royal Rumble, but the stipulation on night one of WrestleMania was The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. Where if
the rules were
the rules had something to do with the Universal title on night 2 would be held on the Bloodline rules or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if Rhodes and Rollins won, it would have been 1-on-1. No Bloodline is banned. Everyone banned. No one is a ringside except for anyone that is like. If you're the announcers, the crowd, the referee, you're good. Referee, the principals are good. Anybody else, you cost Roman Reigns the undisputed Universal Championship, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If the Bloodline team won, it's Bloodline rules, no DQ, no anything, everything goes.
Yep. And part of the reason people made the reference to Avengers Endgame with this was all the people showing up. You had Seth showing up to screw Roman over as he promised, You had The Undertaker showing up very, very briefly. You
And
had-
Fuck
drunk.
over the Rock, or basically tell the Rock, get the fuck out.
Mhm.
But the funniest thing with that, and the Undertaker did admit it, like because as WWE has started to do and have done for quite a few years now, they record what happens on WrestleMania weekend, and it's usually a documentary that they'll put out after WrestleMania, showing what everybody goes through in their day. The Undertaker admits in that is that, oh yeah, the reason why you don't see me in my gear or anything like that is I was actually up in the skybox drinking with a few of the other boys, and Hunter comes in and goes, "Hey, can you do something for us tonight? We need you for a segment." In the main event. So when he rocks up, and I believe he only just delivers like the choke slam to the Rock, he's like, "The reason why I don't do anything more is because I was fucking drunk."
Which-
And he was blown up too.
knowing
He was blown up. He was drunk. He didn't.
knowing
like-
his habits
Fuck off.
with Jack Daniels, that is completely on brand.
Well, the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
was, he wasn't booked to do anything that week. He was booked for meet and greet. So on the nights of WrestleMania, he just sat in the skybox with the other boys and drank. And then it was like halfway through the show, Triple H comes in and goes, "Hey, Mark, I need you for this spot in the main event." And he's like,
And of course, the Undertaker half drunk going, "Oh, come the fuck on! I'm done."
But of course, in the aftermath of all of that, I think a lot of people had a hell of a lot of optimism, thinking, okay, because of the momentum we've been going on, a lot of the dark days are done.
Yeah, I mean, in context, business-wise, they were like the ramp up to WrestleMania 40 and the residual effects for the rest of the year, if we're being honest. They were selling everything out.
and that and the fact that like this was supposed to be where we would see the end of the bloodline. Like Roman lost, Roman would then now the idea would be to break up the bloodline and send Roman after 4,000 something days, like 4 years as WWE champion. All because we wanted somebody to outdo like Bruno and Hulk Hogan's title reigns. Because that's the only reason why Roman Reigns held the belt for 4 years is because they wanted. Because at that time they also had Gunther go on that insane streak with the IC belt.
Oh yeah.
They wanted to reset the record numbers to have modern guys in those spots.
And part of it was he became champion under Vince McMahon's reign and under when Vince was still running, and Roman was so over that Vince saw an opportunity to fuck over a guy who had just signed with AEW. Hi, CM Punk, how the fuck are you, you hypocritical prick? He just saw a point of, I'm gonna be Betty.
Which it is somewhat amusing. I could bring up the counter programming issue, but we'll get to that later. And things did seem to be riding a high, but then you have the biggest layup and probably the biggest fumble that we will see, because I think this is as high time as any to talk about the John Cena retirement tour. And how this is one of those things where you're not going to get a do-over with this. You've got one shot to make it work, and if you don't make it work, you're going to be known as that guy who fumbled the bag. No matter how anyone wants to dress it, you're going to be known for that.
And this is something that was covered behind the scenes and addressed in the WWE Unreal documentary. John Cena was adamant when he announced his retirement tour at Money in the Bank the year previous. He meant it, and if you're looking for any doubts of Does he still mean it? Look at the absolutely no physical activity other than walking to the ring, mic, attendance, done of this year's Mania. He, like, that match at Saturday night's main event, that was the last match of his career.
Yeah, but now he's showing up at Backlash to announce something. Probably Club WWE.
Yeah, he's
So,
involved.
to use the old adage, we can't miss you if you don't leave.
Yup.
But even going back to, like, this was still early stages of that retirement tour. To bring it back to the WrestleMania 40 for a moment, that was the year that he had, at the time, he had the US. No, he didn't have the US title at that time.
He had been.
That was the year before. Sorry,
for a while.
Yeah, he was on the countdown is happening point of his career. Yeah,
he was. They were like the way he brought it up in the documentary. What they were discussing this for years. I think in like 2023, he asked, "Hey, I'm seeing this Hollywood thing ramp up. Maybe it's a good time to start talking about, hey, what's the exit plan?"
Yeah, they gave him the US title before WrestleMania 39, which he then lost to Austin Theory of all people. Remember when they were actually high on him?
Pepperidge Farm remembers. You sure Pepperidge Farm remembers?
And most people don't remember because it's Austin Theory.
Yeah.
Like Cena, they gave him the US belt so that way, because that was one of his big things was the US Championship when he was first coming in. It was one of the first titles that he held properly.
Yeah.
And at this point, like after WrestleMania 40, limited dates, but the idea was to have him headline one more WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 41 will be his last WrestleMania. The Rumble that year will be his last Rumble, last SummerSlam, last Survivor Series. The whole smash.
Last Australian tour, which, oh my god, the yellow t-shirts still haunt my memory.
Brother.
Oh. And, of course, there was this long stretch of time for months where they're just not doing anything with him. And then, all of a sudden, we have the I want to win one more world title. And this was right around the same time that The Rock was doing the whole I want your soul, Cody. Culminating in Cena's heel turn, which the heel turn itself, like just looking at that in isolation, is a cool spot. And that's the problem. And this is
That's
really where
and we should put some context into this.
Oh yeah.
The reason for the soul was they wanted The Rock to announce WrestleMania New Orleans. Yeah, right. Also, they were worried they weren't going to fill up the Rogers Center in Toronto. They had decided, hey, we're going to do stadiums for big shows. And Elimination Chamber was not a big show. It was a B pay-per-view. But they had rented out the Rogers Center in Toronto, the Sky Dome, for those looking for context here. It was selling okay. They want them going over 40 to 50,000, which is how much the place can hold now. But it wasn't selling to the point that TKO liked. So, what's their big idea? Hey, is the final boss busy? That's it. They advertised The Rock to sell a few thousand more tickets.
And
well, there was a little bit more to it than that. Like with the actual heel turn itself, there was meant to be a continuation of that "I want your soul" storyline.
Yeah,
like, as we all found out, John Cena turns heel. He was meant to be The Rock's lackey from that point. He would be the guy. The Superman has sold his soul to Lex Luthor. You know, Batman has joined forces with the Joker. It's that type of thing. Instead of Cody,
in
Cody
wrestling
gave his-
terms, Hogan, NWO.
yeah, like that's the big moment that they were pushing for. And in isolation, it looked brilliant. Like the cinematography on that and the way they used the camera angles to capture Cena's face and Cena going from the smiling good guy to suddenly just this deadpan stoic look. Oh, perfection.
Everybody came to play that day. I will always give Triple H credit for that, for taking up. It's no, I'm okay with Cody saying go fuck yourself, and then make sure you capture that face and the low blow scene around the world.
Yeah, but then as soon as that happened, there was problems, and it stems from something that TKO I can almost guarantee you they will never stop doing, and that's getting celebrities involved where they aren't needed. Like I can't remember who was. Thank you. It's Travis Scott delivered a belt shot to Cody that split him big time.
Who, as somebody who is a little bit more versed in the hip-hop world than you guys are, let me state this. Even people within that world can't stand him.
Good. That Fiend song is worse than dick cheese.
Oh, not only that, but also the fact that he is one of those an easy way to get go away heat in hip hop is to start shit and not stand on it. Or to be an instigator.
No.
And he was one of those on a few occasions. Which was why Pusha T had a bit of an issue with him, and why he completely destroyed him in that Clips reunion. And I do find it amusing that Travis Scott stopped showing up for WWE shortly after the "So Be It" track dropped, where Push just unloads on him. And he made no bones about the fact that it was aimed at Push. Even said so right in interviews, saying, "You don't rap. Stay out of rappers' business." And
I'm gonna ask you a question, because this is just me being a white boy here. So the equivalent of Kendrick Lamar and Drake, where Kendrick Lamar won the beef because he had his song doing the A minor thing at the fucking Super Bowl.
it wasn't that. It didn't go that far. It got close. People were really thinking, oh shit, we're gonna be dealing with one of these kind of situations. But Travis never responded, and Push just won by default. That's how these kind of beefs go. If somebody pops off and you don't respond, it is just as bad as a loss. And now, of course, I think the real reason he stopped showing up as much is because he was working way too damn stiff. Like didn't he bust up Cody's nose or something? Like when he did that punch at the pay-per-view, he was hitting way too hard.
Yeah, he stiffed him essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, after WrestleMania, both The Rock and Travis Scott had issues with WWE, so they weren't going to use him.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock just did The Rock. Don't really want to do this anymore, see ya.
Yeah, and then
they left a heel turn, Cena fresh off a heel turn, with the guy who made him turn heel running away and disappearing, and basically leaving Cena with a heel turn he had no idea what to do with, or even the writers had no idea what to do with, because their big reason and their reason to keep the heel turn going had just walked away.
And
so,
fair play to him. He tried to make it work with the whole "I'm going to ruin wrestling," but it just he was at that point seen as was such a legacy draw that nothing he's in the same position Orton is in right now. Nothing he does is going to get him heat.
He's a legend. And legends always get a babyface pop no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Very few wrestlers on this planet are able to get the place to go boo them now.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, it's the Ric Flair effect.
Yeah, I'd say Golden Age Ric Flair, not current day Ric Flair. God.
No. Yeah, we're talking like from 2005-6 to his retirement in 08.
Mm-hmm. But you also had him. I mean, you also had things like the attempt to try and recreate the infamous pipe bomb with the feud with CM Punk, which I saw that, and all I saw was a cargo cult. I think I even said it to you guys when you shared it. Just because you've got a natural cornball in the form of Cena trying to do something biting, and it just isn't working because he's doing too much winking to the audience.
He was winking too much to the audience when the audience expected his roast of Roman Reigns before the bloodline things.
Mm-hmm.
You should be glad, like, to quote him, you should be ashamed that I'm doing this part-time, because if I could do this better part-time, then you could even do that full-time.
Mm-hmm. So, and then of course you have this all culminates with the Last Time Is Now special, which up until the end was actually a really good special and a really good showcase of the up-and-coming talent. I think that show is where people really started to take notice of guys like Obafemi. Who, if there's anybody who should be the big guy in WWE over the next few years, it's him.
And he wasn't even part of the tournament. He was just there on the last show where when they decided, hey, let's put him against Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they did bring in people that like either re-signed with the company or hadn't been seen with the company for a long time. You had Dolph Ziggler returning. You had the return of Matt Cardona coming in as Zack Ryder for one night before re-signing a little bit later as Matt Cardona.
Yeah,
like this was a big thing, and like not to take away from what the Cena retirement tour, but think about like what was going on at the same time. We had Roman Reigns, who came off a loss to Cody Rhodes. Suddenly, the bloodline started to drift.
We started to get the NWO Wolfpack versus NWO Classic.
Yeah, we had Solo Sikoa being going and splitting off to create what would eventually become the MFTs or whatever it is. Which is now pretty much defunct. Thank you for. We'll get to that later. And you had like the rise of Jey Uso in becoming a singles guy, and the whole yeet mentality and all that type of stuff. You had Jacob Fatu debuting and like instantly getting over with the fans. You had people like, on the women's side, you had like Tiffany Stratton was doing really well, starting to really catch fire. You had the greatest Mexican luchador in the history of lucha, El Grande Americano, become a thing.
Yep. Who is now the top face in AAA. Yep.
But the thing is, you had all these guys like either coming in or doing things like a lot of young focus at the time. But the thing is, all that WWE's programming was concerned about was two things: the bloodline drama and John Cena's retirement. And I think a lot of like we haven't even gotten to debacle that was WrestleMania 41 yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're still in that year in between WrestleManias. You would have guys, you even had AJ Styles saying, you know, I'm getting close to my end as well. So they were starting to do things like that, which ultimately culminated in that amazing John Cena AJ Styles retro match. Let's hit everybody else's finishes but our own. But you had like the rise of Bron Breakker as well. You had Dominic Mysterio coming up the ranks as one of the top heels in the company, despite being stuck with the New Day. There was all this good stuff going on in the background, but WWE only wanted to focus on the Bloodline and John Cena. And I think that's one of the biggest flaws with this particular year leading up to WrestleMania 41 and then going beyond WrestleMania 41 is that the company itself decided that it wasn't worth looking to the future, and it wasn't worth looking into things like building new storylines, getting new characters over, starting to do a transition. Because let's be honest, when John Cena retired, that was the end of an era. Quite literally, that's probably the only time Triple H has been right with it's a new era.
Yeah.
Because at that point, that's the class of 2002 era was starting to leave. So, like, I count AJ Styles in the class of 2002 era because that's when he was starting to get over in TNA and everything else. You know, 2004 and everything, when he started becoming the guy of TNA.
It fits the descriptor here.
Yeah, and then you've got your Randy Ortons, you've got your Brock Lesnar's, you know, the guys of that OVW class of 2002. They're starting to drop off. A lot of them are gone. We're starting to get to the last dregs. It is time to start looking at the future. But no, we're stuck with the same guys over and over again in these main events. It's Roman Reigns, it's Seth Rollins, it's John Cena. You know, we had CM Punk return as well, and you know he's suddenly back in the main event. It's Drew McIntyre. It's, you know, where's the storytelling for these other guys instead of this small cadre of about 6-7 people? And like WWE used to be at any time of the year, you would look and go, "Hey, here's a main event, but here's several other storylines that are going on that are well worth watching." But now everything just revolved. It became the Poochie show. When Poochie's not on screen, you must be talking about Poochie. In this case, Roman Reigns and John Cena.
Yep. And I think one person who really got the shaft for this whole thing, and in fact, I almost want to call him the Yuji Nagata of North America, is LA Knight.
Yeah.
Who's probably the most perfect example of somebody getting organically white hot and them just cooling him off.
Yep, they turned the fire hose on him because, as I said before, when somebody organically gets over who doesn't fit the story, and this was the first time we started hearing about this, the WrestleMania 40, you started hearing Paul Heyman talk about the story. The story, we're only in the third innings of 8 innings of the story. And then you'd hear Triple H going, well, the story's everything. Everything's about the story nowadays. Nobody cares about wrestling. It's about it's just fucking, you know, it became to the point, like, I know Vince was a control freak. And he was always, I have this plan, I want to pull out the plan. But the thing is, when the plan wasn't working, Vince could at least, as they like to say, pivot or book on the fly to turn something from chicken shit into chicken salad. Whereas Triple H is, I have my story, I have my ideas. Once it's down on paper, we are not deviating from this unless they die or get injured or something like that. Which is when we get to WrestleMania 42, you'll see how well he handles that shit.
Yeah. Another thing that I feel I'd be remiss if I didn't mention here is the R-Truth saga. Where, you know, R-Truth was was really having resurgence as this legend as far as comedy goes. Especially since he was on a crusade around this time to break everybody at least once. Some people got it worse than others because they couldn't keep it together. Hi, Damian Priest, how you doing?
Yeah.
I say that, but I'm not gonna act like I would have done any better in that situation. But and especially this going with this idea of him having John Cena as his childhood hero, which everybody knows it would be ridiculous given given the time frame since he started before Cena. But everybody just goes with it and makes it work.
Because R-Truth is just genuinely one of the funniest motherfuckers in wrestling.
And then he gets let go in a wave of budget cuts. After Fan Demand, he gets brought back, cuts his hair, decides he's going to rebrand himself with his real name, Ron Killings, as if he's going back to his old Ron the Truth gimmick that he had in TNA and NWA. They claim that the rehiring was part of a master plan, and then do nothing with it, and then he just regresses back to R-Truth after about a week.
Look at the timing too. Cena turns face, Killings goes back to comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing ever happened.
And as we get closer and closer to we go through 41, which actually before I even get to 41, I have to talk about the ending for The Last Time Is Now. Now, I will note.
Well, no, 41 happens before the ending.
Yeah, you're right. I got things crosswired, but I will note Gunther was the right opponent. A guy who had been built up as just this unstoppable wall, this absolute test.
I'm gonna stop you right there, Monk.
Mm.
Quickly with WrestleMania 41, it was a shit show. How bad was it? I got sick on Sunday. My body was sick. I couldn't watch half of the match before I had to vomit again.
Yeah, you didn't miss out on much, and as mentioned before, instead of having The Rock do the interference for that thing, as you would expect, they have Travis Scott, which the crowd went mild for. But the big reason I want to put so much focus on The Last Time Is Now is because up until the ending, it was a phenomenal match. You had a very strong story of Cena just throwing every bullet that's in the clip at this guy, and he just will not go down. And at the end of it, people are going nuts, chanting "Super Cena" and the like. Cole calling his finish the "FU" for the first time in years. And then we get to the ending spot, which his Gunther's finish is of course the good old sleeper hold, and you see Cena smile and then tap, and I think all three of us were like, that is not the way that should have gone, especially given the whole never give up thing being a focal point leading up to that.
He 2005 Shawn Michael'd that shit.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, yeah, it was 2005 Hogan. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Referencing. Yeah. But,
I was confuzzled.
I will always disagree that Gunther was the wrong guy to give that to, because as we've seen since, it's done nothing for Gunther. Like, he beat Cena and then, okay, now we're just moving on. Suddenly he's the legend killer. And
Damn it, dealer.
but the thing is, but they took Gunther like they should have given it. I reckon they should have given it to somebody who could have used the rub. So the thing with wrestling is when you go out on your back or you tap out. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you do it to somebody who needs that credibility. Gunther didn't need it. He had that long-term IC title run, plus he had world title runs added to his name in that time. He didn't need the rub. He was already over. He already was the wrestler's wrestler.
He was established.
Yeah, he was well and truly established. He didn't need that. They needed to give it to somebody. Like, I probably would have given it to somebody who needed it, who needed something to help them break out. Like, I would have said probably somebody like Bron Breakker. Or if he was on the main roster at that time, Obafemi.
Obafemi would have been perfect if the timing matched up.
But they've done better by Obafemi, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. Like, it turned out better for
we'll get that.
Brock's last match.
Yes. Like, Gunther didn't need it. And the fact that it was just something that they haven't ever followed up with. Like, if I was Gunther, or if I was creative, I would have spent the next 6 months after that match having Gunther come out and just every time he opened his mouth, it would start with, I beat John Cena. But no, they just wanted to move him on to the next guy.
Would you?
They were doing that for a minute, and then nothing.
Yeah, because the crowd didn't care. That was the thing. The crowd didn't give a shit because he didn't need the rub. And when the crowd loses interest, and I'll be honest, they've lost interest in Gunther completely.
Yeah.
And they lost that interest the second John Cena tapped out. Because John Cena, for as much as John Cena was willing to put him over and everything, that look into the camera, that smile, and that weak ass tap killed all credibility Gunther had.
Mm-hmm.
He became a joke at that point.
Smile and then pass out.
And we all heard it because all three of us watched that segment with Paul heading into that post-show thing, and it's very, very telling that in the time since, the whole press conference thing that was done for a while hasn't been done much at all since.
No, it was the post-match I think you were talking about. And yeah, and for those wondering, when Triple H took over, there was much excitement because a lot of the fans that had stuck around or even started to lapse because after 2019 remembered fondly what is known as the NXT Black and Gold era, where NXT was basically a WWE funded super indie. Like all of the big independent names that could be under contract or wanted to be at NXT could be at NXT. Triple H, by and large, at least on a main card NXT stuff, he had his duds, but he could do no wrong. His cards normally delivered, like from, I want to say 2017 to 2019. An NXT takeover was appointment television. Like if you had the WWE network, yeah, the pay-per-views were a good thing, but if you were a hardcore fan, you were paying $9.99 a month for NXT. Triple H was a booking savant back then. So when he finally got the book in the main roster and had all of the main roster at his command from 39 all up until now, there was a honeymoon period where, yes, Triple H could do no wrong for the most part.
Mhm.
Again, a few duds here and there, and there is this, what are you doing, LA Knight? We had it all set up for you. Why'd you fuck it up? That kind of shit. Like when the milk started to sour and smell,
Mhm.
and they tried to sell it as, oh, it's still good. It's still good. A lot of those same fans that, okay, he could do no wrong. It's NXT Black and Gold, but on main roster television. When that honeymoon phase ended and they realized, hey, wait a minute, this is the same corporate BS.
Which, given that, let me put you on the spot for a moment, Maddie. What would you say is the canary in the coal mine?
Also, you got to remember, this was like the 18th time that month he had said, "This is the new era."
Yeah, how many new eras are we on? Armbar.
It became
yeah.
Yeah, it became a meme at this
what
point.
Was, the canary in the coal mine?
Yes.
I mean, there's a few that come to mind, but the one that immediately pops into mind, R-Truth's firing. Because not only did it piss us off, it pissed the people in the back off.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the first big moment where, like, oh, wait a minute, time out. What the fuck?
I think one of the, like, for me, the canary in the coal mine moment came with, I think it was like they went overseas for a pay-per-view or something. And the reactions from the press conferences was getting very negative. And it's when they went overseas and Triple H was still getting that negative reaction when he realized that even going overseas wasn't going to stop the fans from yelling their displeasure directly at him in a way that he couldn't control.
Yeah. I don't know which one it was. Because I'm trying to figure out which one it was that was like, oh yeah, that's it.
Like, there was one of the press conferences where they're screaming, "Fuck you, Hunter! We want Vince."
That was at the last time is now.
Yeah, and it was, and Hunter just turned around and he just looked straight at the fans and he said, "I don't care." Essentially.
Ooh.
Like he when he turned around, he snapped back at the fans. That was the moment that he completely lost it. He completely lost the crowd. He completely lost all credibility. That was the moment the canary took its last gasp and died. From that point on, he became the enemy. He became the sole reason why everything was fucked up, why people weren't getting over, why nobody was getting pushed. He became that guy at that point. And
if you want to know,
he did it to himself.
There were, I think it's a case of there are multiple canaries, because I can remember watching the post show, the Rumble post show, and Saudi Arabia has been like, when they got good stuff, they started to get very generous with the Fed, and then they turned on Triple H. I think that's where you knew.
That's what it was. It was the Saudi Arabia show, where even the crowd there was having a go at him, and he just sort of got sick of it, and he snapped back at the crowd.
Yeah.
Like the second you have a crash out, the second you start yelling at the fans and trying to blame them, that's when you're going to lose. That's the second you lose. And the second Triple H did that, that's where we started getting more of, he dug his heels in. Because as we saw by that point, he was already pissed because he went, like with Black and Gold, he created the characters, he created the looks, he created the cinematography, he did the storylines. It was his baby. working black and gold where you have a blank canvas is different to stepping into Vince McMahon's shoes and having to work with guys that have been established for 20 odd years. And all of a sudden, Triple H is, I want to run the story and I'm going to run it my way. And if you deviate from my story, then I'm going to yell at you, which is what he did to LA Knight, because LA Knight forgot the finish and screwed things up. Yes, LA Knight has some blame in that scenario, but also he shouldn't have been yelled at like that. It should have just been, hey, you fucked up. We got there in the end. Cool. But no, yeah. Triple H is so embedded in this mindset of, I wrote the story. And if you don't follow the story, then everything goes to shit.
I remember Brian Zane, when he was doing his year-end recap, he brought up, why is Triple H on the poster for WrestleMania 42? He's retired. He's not an active wrestler anymore. What is he doing here?
And I think that you could sense that there is a level of frustration. Yes, he wants to have some control, but at the same time, you sense, hey, you could sense there's frustration, is what I'm trying to say. And was he in the right to give a couple of slaps on the wrist to LA Knight? Absolutely. There was a couple things goofed up, but hey, no problem. You got there to the end. Job done. Congratulations. And then, but the last shout he gave him, I'm like, no.
Just in general, Unreal did not do a good job at making anybody on the Office side of things look good.
No, but it did expose the way Triple H thinks and operates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because and you see it later with to bring up WWE Unreal, the whole Chelsea Green scenario. Road Dogg was like, I want to put the belt on Chelsea. She's hot right now. Let's capitalize on it. And Triple H just went, what do you do with her in the future then? And it was like, oh, well, she can do like everybody else. She can have contenders. Oh, but she's already beaten this one and that one and this and that, and it's just not going to work. And yet, how many times has Rhea Ripley won the fucking belt? Either women's belt over the last few years. There seems to be no issue in her replaying beating the same people over and over and over again. But when it's Chelsea Green, somebody who got organically over and people actually liked enjoying and watching, oh no, we can't have them running the same thing ever again and again and again, because that's only reserved for Triple H's favorites. For Liv Morgan, for Rhea Ripley, as much as I love Demi, I'm sick of her title reigns. Hey, we're putting the belt on Roman for the 50th time. Why? Yeah. Who's he got to take on in the future? Oh, that doesn't matter. The story is all.
And the story is fast becoming safe bets, make the money, and someone's going over.
What the story is the hamster wheel. The same kind of hamster wheel that, Maddie, you and, not to bring up sports ball in this, but you and I have seen with certain teams where there is the appearance of movement, that there is no actual movement to act to improving. And I know this is going to sound like me dunking on the Leafs for the umpteenth time, but no, this is the example I'm going to use for this is the Cowboys.
Old man refuses to change with times. It's valid.
And
I don't think, like, in the hamster wheel scenario, I don't think, because Hunter didn't retire because he wanted to. He retired because he had to. He is medically unfit. He's had heart surgery.
He has a pacemaker.
Yeah, he has a pacemaker. So he was forced to retire. And I don't think he ever got the retirement that he wanted. He never got the acknowledgement for his career. He hasn't. He watched a guy like Cena come in and get this retirement tour, good or bad, but he never got it. And I think he's taking it out on the roster. Anybody who's retiring, he's screwing up their retirement. Anybody that's starting to get over that he doesn't like, he's burying. He's trying to create his legacy, because at this point in time, when people go, oh, do you watch wrestling? They equate it to WWF, or if they understand what's happened, they'll go, oh, WWE, and they say, who's running the company? People will still say to this day, Vince McMahon. WWE, WWF is always going to be Vince McMahon's legacy. His name is always going to be that one that people remember. It's like when you say wrestling, who's the first wrestler that people think of? Hulk Hogan. Hunter wants his legacy, but he is going about it the wrong way. He is trying to burn down the forest because he wants his tree to stand out.
And some of this is tied into things like I won't say the purchase of AAA, because after doing some cursory research into the state of things in Lucha Libre, AAA was I won't say it was as bad as WCW in 2000, but it wasn't far off. It was god awful television.
It was close enough, both creatively and on a financial side, that they were, I'm not going to say a David Arquette away from really being in deep shit, but if you look at it just out of context, but with the context of professional wrestling, you would think, oh fuck, they put the belt on Arquette, didn't they?
Well, they weren't far off from that. They put the belt on Alberto Del Dipshit.
Yeah, but they also put the belt on.
Unfortunately, still over in Mexico, but let's not go deeper than that.
Yeah. Mexico's like trying to put over Bret Hart and Canada. You know, it's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you can tell to bring up like booking and everything. Mm-hmm. You look at what I call the triangle of retards. But that's just because I think they're all dumb. But yeah, but I'll give 2 out of 3 credit. You got Triple H who's booking WWE. You've got Shawn Michaels who's booking NXT, and you've got The Undertaker who's booking AAA. Hunter is trying to create his legacy on the main stage, and he's got his own ego problems that he's trying to sort through. Michaels, for as much as his early work, he was the guy, it was all about me. He's gone through that transition, and he's grown enough as a person that he's like, I want to make the next generation. Mm-hmm. Which is why the current NXT is getting as close to black and gold as you can get. And like, they're doing quite well. They're bringing in new stars. They're making new stars. And then you've got The Undertaker in AAA. Mm-hmm. The Undertaker is the type of guy who is old school, who loves the old stories, loves gimmicks, loves the way that it was in like the 80s, 90s, you know, his era when he was wrestling. Mm-hmm. But he's also the type of guy to go, okay, I'm not 100% sure on what I'm doing. Hey, Rey Mysterio, come over here. Let's sit down. Let's chat. You're a luchador. Give me your advice. Let's work on this. And that's why AAA right now is one of the better. Like, if I was to rank them, I'd probably put it'd be AAA, NXT, WWE.
And that's fair, because whenever I watch AAA, when I'm interested in watching anything WWE, it's fun.
Yeah.
Because Undertaker is old school enough to understand, okay, go for the gimmicks. Mm-hmm. but put a modern twist on it. And that's what AAA is, really.
Like the best example of that goes from, like I said it earlier, the greatest Mexican luchador in all of luchador history, El Grande Americano.
OG or Ludwig? Ludwig
Ludwig Kaiser version.
Thank you.
So version 2.0.
Yes.
You have a guy that took what was supposed to be a filling gimmick, went to Mexico, because he also knows how to speak Spanish, or Espanol.
Yes.
He got that character over in Mexico with a gimmick that was meant to be a joke on Mexican luchadors. He is the most over guy in that company right now. And when...
And
not
ironically,
the stuff they're doing,
by the way.
Yeah, not ironically.
Not ironically.
Like, he is
actually
like,
over.
Yeah, like, he's almost cusping on, like, Mil Musker as over in that company.
Yeah, except he's actually willing to take a pin.
Yeah, true. But they're doing the feud over there at the moment with El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano, the original, otherwise known as Chad Gable. That feud over there is a main event feud with drama, with like actual stakes and serious ties to it all. They go and take those same two characters, put them on Raw, and it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a comedy segment. That goes to show the difference between somebody who is booking something out of his own ego and desires versus somebody who's looking to work to make the business work.
Mm-hmm.
And is smart enough to realize, hey, this is over like Rover. Let's go with it.
Yeah, and knows how to pivot and knows how to listen to the crowd and work with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing. And I hate to keep giving Vince McMahon props, but as I said before, Hunter sticks to the story. Whereas Vince McMahon had, here's a storyline. This isn't working. Let's change it to this and see what happens.
You know what it is?
Okay, the crowd's doing this guy. Okay, so my storyline has him as a heel. Oh, the crowd's going over with him? Let's switch him to a face and see how that runs. Vince at least listened to the audience for the most part, and he knew how to redirect a storyline that he knew was failing. Hunter, on the other hand, needs to stick to the story or else he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
If he has to pivot to something he doesn't want, he's going to bury it. Because he knows better than the fans.
And, I just came to a realization as you were going into this. Hunter, and especially with how the fan base abused the term cinema over the last 2 years, Paul wants to be a film director. He wants to make WWE into a movie. The problem is, directing a film has several things that are the complete antithesis of wrestling booking.
I was gonna say Vince had that same problem as well, though. As to Mace's point, when push comes to shove, he may do it kicking and screaming, but he pivot. But when it was time to pivot, he would pivot.
Mm-hmm. And
Triple H tried to pivot with Jey Uso and then failed, and it goes, okay, fuck that, I'm doing the story my way now.
Yeah. And I think what was to mention Unreal, what was also amusing was how it took someone who wasn't an active wrestler, was just a extra in the writing room to point out a reasonable idea, and they're like, why didn't we think of that? Which there's been accusations of the writers' room being out of touch. And in that moment, we saw it right in front of our eyes. And, of course, the nadir of all of this, the point that I have been leading up to, is the last WrestleMania in Vegas, the one we just went through a month ago. The ad showcase that just happened to have a little bit of wrestling, but so little that we ended up doing the numbers as far as how much wrestling per minute you would have spent for this thing.
Oh, Mace, get your calculator out.
Oh god, I hold on, I'm gonna have to go back
Oh
in
boy.
and find the numbers now. Hold on.
But the night one was not well. A lot of the matches, I think I said this at the time, felt like TV matches with TV match length. Then the ridiculous amount of ads that everybody has mocked. Night 2 was somewhat better, and it is hardly a surprise that the best matches there were agented by Paul Heyman. And even with all of that, there was a whole lot of nothing. And the big thing that a lot of people were talking about in the aftermath of WrestleMania, aside from, oh goody, Roman Reigns is champion again, is all of the ads.
Unfortunately, I've lost a lot of the information that we did that night.
What I do remember is the total amount of both nights was still less wrestling than Dynasty.
I think a whole hour of wrestling more
Hour and a half.
than WrestleMania. Yeah.
Hour and a half, and Dynasty is a 1 night, 3-hour show. Maybe 4 if you count
Dynasty
0
was
hour,
a
but we didn't.
5-hour show,
Yeah,
but let's not.
Dynasty was it was essentially like a 4-hour odd show, or 5 if you include the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We had that clocked at 3 hours, 26 minutes, and 12 seconds of wrestling in that program. Now, night 1 of WrestleMania was 83 minutes of wrestling on a 225-minute show. So a bit about 3.5 hours. Night 2 was 86 minutes in a 206-minute show. So, like, it sounds biggish when you put it in minutes. But when you realize that at least 2 hours of each show on 2 nights was dedicated to these celebrities are at ringside. Commercial spots for Hulk Hogan's documentary, generalized commercials, plugging stupid shit. And it was a 3.5 hour show overall. When
And
2 hours of it,
fucking Hogan.
yeah, that documentary, which, funnily enough, news coming through this week, as we're recording, it's the second week after WrestleMania. The Hulk Hogan documentary outdrew Raw this week. There was more people watching the Hulk Hogan documentary this week than there were watching Raw.
Even in the grave, brother, I still don't work for that, brother. What you gonna do, brother, when Zombie Hogan runs wild on you, brother? Sorry, I had to.
That's fine. But, like, when a lot of people came out of this going, wow, I pity the poor people that were sitting ringside. Now, we did take the idea of splitting the nights based on the $70,000 VIP package, which would have been front row 1, like, seat, with all the extras and everything, which people were paying upwards of $70,000 for 2 nights. And we worked it out to be something along the lines of about $420 US per minute of actual wrestling on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's if you had paid just to watch the actual wrestling portions. Remember, these people spent 35 grand essentially per night, which would have equated to something along the lines of, I'd probably say at least $200 to $220 a minute that they spent to sit in those seats to watch commercials.
Steve, folks, when you pay $70,000 for the Super Bowl, you get a halftime show and 60 minutes of football.
Yeah,
You get
and
what you pay
and
for.
just for what Slick Rick has said in the chat room, the only celebrity that we actually enjoyed was George Kittle and his ever-growing drinking collection.
I don't think he was encouraged to do that. I just think that's just what he's going to do.
Yeah, but
You know what?
the other thing with this as well, was things like, I actually went through it. I had a look at the WrestleManias from that are purely Triple H booked, so 40, 41, and 42.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 40 had a total two-night attendance of 120,239 people. The following year was 118,641 people, down by nearly 1,600. WrestleMania 42 was, according to their own records, I have yet to check against actual records yet, because we all know they love to bump it up as we saw in that show, because they bumped it up by 1 because Bianca Belair was having a child.
Yeah, they found a way to bullshit their way there. And
Yep.
they did it publicly, too.
They did it publicly. The total, according to WWE, was 106,072 people, which is down 12,569 people on the year before that.
Now, remove the Philadelphia crowd or crowd from the equation. It's still down, though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's well and truly down.
And there was clearly an acknowledgement of that with that emergency town hall meeting about the fact that for WrestleMania 42,
To compare it Vegas to Vegas, by the way, so from the 120,000 odd to 106,000 odd, it's 14,167 people down between the two events.
And
Like that is like at least a 15% drop. Yet we now start looking at the other side of the equation, which is TKO. And they're increasing ticket prices year over year. They have come out this year saying this is the most profitable WrestleMania ever, even though they're down over 15% attendance, because they've jacked the prices up that much.
Did any of you ever see the
that was on
movie
purpose.
Other People's Money?
Yes.
No.
Mace, do you remember the Buggy Whip speech?
Not off by heart, but yeah.
I'm not going to recite the speech word for word, but Danny DeVito's character in Other People's Money in the infamous Buggy Whip speech talks about how the quickest way to go broke is get an increased share in a shrinking market. Now, am I saying wrestling is shrinking? No. But what I'm saying is
no.
they somehow made more money with less people. And that itself should, for a lot of the diehards, it will not ring alarm bells. For a lot of the people who don't understand business, it will not ring alarm bells, but it should. It most definitely.
It's doing it to us and a lot of the people who just follow this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing. Wrestling is and always was a poor man's sport, quote unquote.
A working man's
go to
sport.
football or hockey, if you got $20 or $5 or whatever, you could go ringside to a wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like wrestling itself is in a decline. Like the major brands are having issues drawing people. WWE attendance between WrestleMania 41 through 42 up and past 42 has dropped significantly. AEW also has trouble drawing a crowd. They're not. They're doing All In Wembley. They're not even selling 2/3 of what they did originally. However, they're still drawing crowds. They're like, at the moment, the world is doing it tough. Let's be honest.
Yes.
You know, the cost of living worldwide is through the roof, so things have to start going. And the first thing that always goes is entertainment costs. So people aren't showing up to these shows because, frankly, they can't afford that, or they've got to make the choice between, hey, do I have a night out at the wrestling, or do I go buy an extra couple of meals for the family for a week? However, the one thing that you can say, like, wrestling is still hot because during WrestleMania weekend, you will see multiple shows from other companies. GCW being the biggest one because they will hold multiple shows, and like other ones in the area will do so.
Yeah.
I watched House of Glory, and I watched a couple of GCW shows, and those places were packed. Yes, they were small, but they were shoulder to shoulder. Like they were looking like the
SRO?
first, 30 crowds. Yeah, but standing room only, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
And they looked full. So obviously, if you have a good enough product that is cheap enough, you're going to draw a crowd right now. But the thing is, when it comes to the bigger companies, the tickets do start getting a bit expensive. And unfortunately, since TKO has taken over, ticket prices have gone through the freaking roof. It has gone from being, as Maddie said, it's the working man's sport, to being, it's just another thing for rich dickheads like UFC is. They're running the UFC model.
And it's on purpose because it was Mark Shapiro who said himself, Vince McMahon priced it so to keep the families in there, to bring in the people. And Shapiro saw that as a mistake. Point blank. He said, that's a mistake. You should be pricing even more and make your money.
Yeah. I think I made several comparisons to Formula 1 when we were looking at ticket prices. And though the thing is, as much as I hate to say it, Formula 1 can somewhat justify the ticket prices that they do because of the rarity of events. They certainly don't run a year-round schedule. And whenever they're in town, it is a significant event. You have the pageantry, you have multiple days of practice and qualifying.
It's pageantry. It's a big deal, which is why every year there is this. We need Formula 1 in Montreal. Like the Grand Prix in Montreal the Grand Prix leaving Canada is a big deal.
And with WWE, you have year-round schedule. You don't have an off season, and those sort of things are certainly concerning. And something else to note. In the last year, both we've seen The Office as well as the fan base and this is the point where I do have to call the fan base on this, because the fish rots from the head and and shit rolls downhill. I do have to address the toxicity thing, where a growing amount of WWE fans treat anything that isn't that as low-grade Bush League stuff that should just be wiped out. Unless it works under them. Like, say, TNA. by the way, the TNA partnership has been a one-sided affair, if I've ever seen one.
Why are we not surprised?
I mean, especially that whole recent thing with a bunch of TNA talent being pulled from indie shows, which was I won't say it's peak lol TNA because because even with that, it's still nowhere near as bad as some of the stuff we saw in 2009.
It's close though.
It's getting there. It was, you've really fucked up when MJF is not interested in keeping character and just wants to roast you a new asshole.
And it would still be considered in character.
It's yeah. It definitely was, but it doesn't take a genius to tell he was pissed.
Oh no. He like I shared you this video like of him on Busted Open.
Mm-hmm.
Basically open up a can of Virpal whoop ass on TNA.
Mm-hmm. But I have seen people more and more desperate to try and justify the questionable decisions. Some even going so far as wanting Vince back, thinking that will solve everything. Or, I think one of the funniest things was when Mace had that meme of Jericho's coming, he'll solve everything. Jericho's coming, he'll solve everything.
It's the Bart Simpson meme.
The crowd delusion is another thing that really pisses me off. Like the whole I made that as a joke. Because every time you heard anything about Jericho, the first thing you would see in any comment section or see on the social media channels was, Jericho's coming back to WWE. He's coming back, man. He's coming back. It's going to be the greatest thing because, Chris Jericho is only good when he's in WWE. And it's
Ollie
like...
Davis made a perfect joke of it, too. When he brought back his CM Punk to whatever confirmed. Chris Jericho to WWE confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I started posting that as a joke. And the thing is, like, crowd delusion, or at least, well, I won't say crowd delusion, I will say WWE crowd delusion, or WWE enablers, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
That every time somebody's contract is coming up in AEW, or New Japan, or somewhere else, the first words you'll hear out of all their mouths, they're going to WWE. Because they could be a star if they're in WWE. 9/10 of these people who end up going to WWE believe that the grass is greener on the other side, or they're just there for a quick paycheck, or they're there to try and build a little bit of exposure. WWE wouldn't sign 99% of these people if it weren't for the fact that they were already popular to begin with. Because at the moment they're realizing that that homegrown talent doesn't seem to work for them. They had so many guys come in that they tried to build within their own system, and when they got to the main roster, have failed. So they've gone back to the one that actually worked back in the black and gold days, which was get the guys that are popular elsewhere to sign with the company.
And the problem started with Vince all the way back in 2018, 2019, when Vince decided, no, it's still a monopoly, goddammit. I'm going to fuck up AEW. And that mentality still exists today.
I will be honest, I don't think AEW plays as much into this as people believe. Yes, there are... It doesn't, but it doesn't, but it does. Like, yes, there are times where counter programming is going to be a thing, and that's a Vince McMahon mentality thing left over from the Monday Night Wars. However, I don't believe a lot of it is we're going out of our way to fuck over AEW.
No,
with the exception of a few bits and pieces. Like, there have been signings recently and a lot of it would come when we start looking at the releases after WrestleMania 42, where you can tell that there were people who were signed simply because they wanted to keep them out of AEW's hands. It's the reason why they started working with TNA, because if you remember that AEW for quite a few years had a great working relationship with TNA. They would send guys over there, TNA guys would come on AEW, they wouldn't have to do... They actually put TNA over, they put TNA guys over, they put TNA belts over in AEW, unlike WWE, who just treats them like a fucking farming system, but that's your old school mentality for you. But I don't think that it's like a we need to deliberately go out there and fuck over AEW as much as people think it is.
It's not. Yeah, it's an old Vince McMahon mentality.
Now,
like that's what it is.
I do think that on some levels, AEW lives rent free in their head more than they're willing to admit. Some of that is due to the cult of personality around Vince's mindset, but we can't deny that there were some moments that were blatantly attempts to counter program, and all of them failed.
There were moments, yes, but again, because they failed, I don't think it's going to be as much into the equations as we think. When it comes to signings, oh, there's sabotage aplenty. There's I'm going to throw a dump truck full of money up to your house just so you sign with us and not sign with Tony Khan. But that fucked up as well. Hey, Jeff Cobb, how you doing?
Yeah, like Jeff Cobb is the example right now, because he was literally brought in because there was interest in both AEW and WWE, and Jeff Cobb, getting older as he is, decided, no, I need the dump truck full of money right now. And from a business standpoint, it's a fair play.
Mm-hmm. And
but there's also the AJ Styles situation as well, where like people accused recently, like after AJ Styles retired, in probably one of the most lackluster retirements that we ever really saw, because it was like, hey, I'm in the Royal Rumble, and that's it. Sure, he left at the event that he debuted at. I reckon that when he came out, they should have showed a shot of Roman Reigns like they did the first time he appeared. But, like, AJ Styles, they turned around and they said, here's a nice big fat Legends contract, and you can go and be a guest trainer over at the Performance Center in Florida. And people said, oh, they bribed you to keep you out from other companies. And AJ just went, well, if they're going to bribe me to give me the job I want, then yeah, I'm going to take it.
Yeah. And for AJ, he probably had a low-key retirement tour while everyone was focusing on John Cena. That's probably the way he wanted it. And guess what? The dump truck full of money showed up and he went, cool.
But, like, just to bring things around to WrestleMania 42, adds the Mania. This should have, outside of one match, this is the year that they really should have looked, and they should have been looking at this for the past year. We need to start building a new look WWE. For all the times that we have the meme of Triple H going, it's a new era. This was the time to build that new era. But some things didn't fall in line according to plan. That being Bron Breakker getting injured. And they didn't really seem to want to be pushing anybody like into positions where they could start looking to become the face of the company. They wanted celebrity... TKO started getting involved, which means we had Pat McAfee being involved in the Cody Rhodes-Randy Orton feud, where it's supposed to be Aleister Black. We had IShow Speed getting a WrestleMania match. and also Jelly Roll getting a moment. But the thing is, again, this has come back to that price of the moment where going viral online means more to TKO than putting on a good wrestling product. Because when looking back at nights 1 and 2 of this event, what do people talk about the most? They talk about I Show Speed. They talk about Jelly Roll. They talk about the Pat McAfee stuff. They talk about the stuff that went viral. You know what didn't go viral? The wrestling. The matches. The fact that, CM Punk lost to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns getting his... Like, any of the champions that walked out with their belts meant nothing at the end of that night. It was all about the viral moments. And Adzamania. Like, there was nothing to do with WrestleMania in WrestleMania.
Pretty much. And when it comes to those moments, Maddie, Mace, you and I have seen this kind of thing of booking for moments. Because there was one person who was extremely infamous for it, and as a result of that, became the most hated man in the wrestling space for years. His name
Still is. His
name alone brings either scorn, dread, rage, or all three. If you're lucky, not even in that order. Vince Russo, bro. Did I mention bro?
Bro.
I'm actually... look, I'll be honest, for all the bullshit that Vince Russo has done in the past, if you actually watch Juggalo Championship Wrestling, he's actually done some good stuff with that company. He's learned his lessons.
I think Vince Russo now is someone off the cocaine high, and the fact that I've said in the past, Russo can do good work when you have him on a leash. And in something like Juggalo Championship Wrestling, you're not going to be able to sneeze on your left side without ICP knowing about it. Like the buck stops with them. So any kind of input that he has to do, he has to ultimately get their approval, because it is at the end of the day their damn show. And but the Crash TV and the like, that was built on popping ratings and the like. But there was never a whole lot of forethought about what we're gonna do the next week. Which is why I make the analogy here.
Well, to work on your analogy, there was something else that happened that particular weekend that got more talk than WrestleMania, to be honest. And that was Darby Allin winning the AEW title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That happened in a quick squash match against MJF. And that leading into WrestleMania. Nobody suddenly gave a crap about WrestleMania because they were talking about Darby Allin winning the AEW belt and what it means for AEW as a whole.
And
AEW successfully stole the thunder from WrestleMania on WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah. And
But let's have a look at long term. We're a few weeks into his title reign, and according to the ratings and the viewership numbers, Darby Allin's championship reign is straight in the fucking toilet. So, it's not only Triple H and TKO and WWE that's booking for the price of a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Khan's done it as well. And we're now seeing what happens when you royally screw up your viral moment. You got your viral moment, now your cost is coming due, and your champion is not carrying your company.
Yeah, which I know would be tempting for some to post the question, why did I focus on WWE when it comes to the whole fixation on viral moments thing when AEW does it as well. It comes to a matter of degree. There may be those viral moment things that we see with AEW, but it's not something that we see them building entire segments or entire feuds around. Nothing but those going viral moments.
No,
The
plus
going
it's
viral moments. I'm sorry, Mace.
it's also the length of time the company's been around. Like AEW hasn't been around for that long.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't even hit 10 years. Meanwhile, you've got WWE, who's over at this stage nearly closing in on 50 years. You know, when an older company makes the same mistakes over and over, it's no longer a mistake; it's a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
When the new, excuse me, when the newish company makes mistakes, they're still learning, they're still making mistakes. Even TNA, which has been around for over 20 years at this point, they still make mistakes. But the thing is, they make mistakes because, well, they never learnt from their mistakes the first time.
Yeah.
But AEW learns from their mistakes. But WWE, when they make a mistake, at this point, people don't want to see them making mistakes. They're too established, too well known. They're meant to be the face of professional wrestling. And when the face of professional wrestling fucks up, the entire business, the entire industry suffers because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about to suffer because I shared with you two a screenshot from the Russell Talk News, that video that popped up. And there is a lot of people from within the company that said the old WWE is dead. Main reason? The New Day. Kofi Kingston specifically. A lot of wrestlers who were looked at as lifers are just as expendable as the jobber that hasn't been on TV for 6 months.
Mm-hmm. And
I'll
yeah,
let you
we're
take over from
coming
there.
off of a massive wave of cuts. Some of them creating a bit of a shock to the system because you had like Kairi Sane, who was right in the middle of a program and got cut. And you also have the fact that they were talking about renegotiating with several people to try to have them take a pay cut.
In fact, that's the reason why New Day walked or got released and got the 90 days off, because they were approached to get a cut, to take a pay cut. And in the case of Kofi and Mr. Creed here, they fought correctly and went, no, we earned our money. We're going to get paid. So if you're not going to pay us, fuck you, we quit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the whole thing with TKO goes back to the acquisition of WWE in general and the creation of TKO.
Yeah,
it's been well known for quite a few years that Endeavor has been losing money hand over fist. The UFC is not as profitable as people believe it to be.
Especially after the revolving circus that was the John Jones saga.
Yeah. A lot of that also has to do with the fact that they haven't had, like, since, and I hate that I'm bringing this name up, since Ronda Rousey left and they lost, like, Rampage Jackson and all those guys going into retirement, the UFC hasn't had that big headline star.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had that big success like they did in the 2000s.
McGregor, but McGregor for a different reason.
McGregor would be in that particular, like, I'm talking like names. People like you say UFC, and these are the names that they bring up. Now, I think the idea that Ari Emanuel had with the idea of buying WWE was he's seen what it did for Vince. Vince, on paper, was a billionaire. With a B, personal fortune in the B billions. WWE was a multi-billion-dollar company on paper. He thought that maybe if he bought WWE, he could use the money from WWE to recoup the losses that he's had on the Endeavor and the UFC.
Which is a common tactic in the business world.
Yes. So he's done the merger thinking, okay, this will bring in enough money that we can cover both the WWE's costs and the debt that I have with Endeavor and bring that back into being a profitable business. But the thing is, he's gone, done that, looked at the numbers after he bought the company and went, oh, the money's not actually here that we thought was here. So how do we make that money? Well, I made money in Endeavor by turning it into a super show. Everything was a super show event. Every time you do a UFC number 12,675,702,000, blah, blah, blah.
Armbar.
You pay big money, you have celebrity endorsements and everything, and everybody spends big, and that's how you make your money. I'm going to apply that to WWE because it's already been great as a family product for 40 odd years. So if I put the ticket prices up, they'll still pay it. But then he found out, no, we're not. Crowds start going down, revenue starts going down. They're now trying to find a way, any way, to get more money, which is why the ring is now littered with advertisement. The turnbuckles have advertisements. The ring skirts have advertisements. There's a goddamn Prime bottle that I've been staring at for the last 2 hours that I hate the look of every fucking time I look at that photo. There's more commercials than there are wrestling, and they do anything that they can to try and get a big payday, which is why they signed with Netflix. Netflix offers a lot of money, but I bet you that they've lost out over time. They
ain't happy with the returns.
Yeah, they're not happy with returns, so they're doing everything they can to squeeze every last dollar out of the company. And yes, we are used to roster releases. We're used to the post-WrestleMania bloodbath, as we've called it for many years.
I think Solomonster nicknamed it the Wrath of Khan at one point.
Yeah, well, that's what this year has been.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
This year is, and this is the thing: when you have a guy at the top who is more worried about his paycheck than he is about the business, that's where you start the problems. Because just before all the releases hit, we found out how much some of these guys are being paid. Nick Khan, over $24 million in the past year, plus travel expenses, plus royalties, plus percentage of WrestleMania games, plus.
Yeah.
The Rock gets $31 million for doing absolutely nothing. Just because he's on the board of TKO. They signed Triple H to another 3-year contract and keeping him on as chief content officer. Because, hey, it's working. Supposedly, they're making profit at WrestleMania. But then all of a sudden, we get a lot of contracts suddenly just go, oh yeah, bye. And it's it's the usual cutting of the shaft. But now we're starting to hear more and more stories coming out of guys who are currently on contracts being pulled into the boardroom and going, you want to stick around? Here's a contract for 50% less. Take it or leave it. And in the case of the New Day, they said, all right, you keep your contract. See ya. Mm-hmm. And I think that's not going to be the end of that because...
No.
And the way... But the thing is, Nick Khan is a businessman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's a shrewd and deceptive motherfucker, which means he's a great businessman. He has been able, according to reports, get guys to sign these 50% reductions. Now, with business, the biggest problem is when you start trying to cut costs by cutting from the bottom up. So these 50% contracts are starting to happen. You're going to find that people on NXT contracts, when they go to the main roster, are going to be signed on for probably the same that they were making in NXT. They're going to start bringing costs down by getting rid of wrestler salaries. But the guys at the top, Nick Khan, Triple H, The Rock, all that, Ari Emanuel, They're not taking a pay cut.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be pocketing millions. That's how you destroy a company. Is only taking care of the guys at the top.
That's how you become Disney.
Yeah.
That's how you become WCW.
Also, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, keep an eye on Roman Reigns, because if he drops the world title to Jacob Fatu, which the rumor is he's going to retain, but the plan was, he's sticking around for the summer, and then of course the restructuring deals happen. Rumor has it they tried that shit with Roman. And backlash just to be
suddenly Roman Reigns' June opened up very quickly.
Yeah,
but they called that a clerical error. Yeah,
all we're saying, folks,
bullshit on that.
Yeah, your bullshit meter is going up, mine is going up.
Mm-hmm.
All we're saying is keep it up. Just keep an eye on it, because if things start becoming true, Roman may be thinking, done. And then what happens when the cash cow, the hen who lays golden eggs, decides no more eggs?
And
this would be a big problem within WWE, because, as I said before, they seem to not want to be building a new generation. However, at the same time, we've just seen the call-ups.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Joe Hendry, we've seen Ethan Page, we've seen two, I don't know why they were even signed in the fucking first place, Ricky Stank and Blake Bitrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then they're starting to look at pushing guys like Trick Williams. And, they're putting Penta out there a lot more because he sells merch for the kids. They're trying to push Javon Evans, but, there's not enough commercial time that they put him on between segments of Raw to get him over.
And, Danhausen's starting to pick up the slack on that.
Yeah, Danhausen is one of the top merch sellers. But the thing is, with Danhausen, this has very little to do with WWE itself. Look at the storyline they've got him in. They've got him in with the usual intro storyline of "You will wrestle the Miz."
Mm-hmm.
Danhausen's merch sales and everything comes from social media. The man is the master of the social media shill. He goes on TikTok, Instagram. He's always shilling. He's pumping out videos like crazy backstage all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he's over. Because he's found a way to naturally connect with the fans with his character, and he's found a way to monetize it. Whereas you look at his segments that he's had on TV, they're not that great. They're not even that entertaining, except for like the one he had at WrestleMania with the midgets.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole he comes in, curses somebody, disappears shtick isn't that great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's those other moments outside of WWE moments that he's probably had a hand in doing himself, or working with somebody who actually understands what's going on, is what gets him over. Going into the Miz's house and stealing his daughter's bicycle. Absolutely hilarious. Great. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
All the videos that he does outside the ring with everybody else. Like, I saw one this morning where the Bellas, like, it might have been a slightly older one because both Nikki and Brie were involved. They came up and he called them the Bella clones. And stuff like that. Like, he knows how to shill himself. He knows how to shill the product. And he's going to be great for their marketing department. But is he going to be a top guy in the company? Never.
No.
But he's going to move that merch, and that's what they care about, because he's bringing in profit to the company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key word, folks. Something I learned in college. It's not the money, it's the profit.
And as far now to wrap everything up, as far as where I see things going in the future, Obviously, they're going to be doing more they're going to be doing more celebrity stuff to get those viral moments. But I have a feeling that the actual attendance year on year is going to decline until they make a panic move. They already I'd imagine that on some level they're already regretting that decision they made a while back to not focus as much on indie talent, which that was part of the intent with NXT 2.0, and we saw how well that turned out. Oh, and I think what's also going to happen is you're going to see a lot of the WWE fan base have AEW live rent free in their heads more and more. And AEW just is going to be of the approach of we do not care. Mostly because
that's gonna be a big thing moving forward. Is going to be the attitude you're going to hear backstage.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's one thing that we've heard from notes or somebody who overheard or reported on a recent town hall meeting with Nick Khan basically blowing smoke up everybody's ass, is that as long as profits go up and ticket prices go up and things are looking good on paper, they're not going to care so much about the in-run product. As he said, you know, the vocal minority are the ones that are complaining the most, and they're just the online trolls who hated what Vince did 10 years ago. Here's a bunch of tweets that I found about Jey Uso's title run and how people didn't like him. Here's what people were saying about, you know, the main event of WrestleMania 40. Here's what people were saying 10 years ago about, you know, Vince doing this angle or that angle. People online are the vocal minority, and I hate when they say that. Using the term the vocal minority to negate criticism means that you do not want to hear it. You don't want to listen to the audience, and that you want to do things your way. Like I said, Nick Khan is a very shrewd and deceptive man. He is great. He is the perfect CEO for a company that's only going to care about making money. Because at the end of the day, they've got their built-in audience due to brand recognition. And when it comes to that, WWE is synonymous with wrestling. And nothing is ever going to change that. So you're still going to draw those big crowds. They're going to pay the high ticket prices. They're going to keep the company in business. But the thing is, now that we are a global audience that can find things other ways, that due to the internet, the world has opened up. You want to watch Japanese wrestling? You've got New Japan World. You want to watch AEW? There's My AEW.
Mm-hmm.
There's, you know, you want like, even though it is WWE owned, you want to watch AAA? You can jump on YouTube.
Yeah.
You want to watch one that I would highly recommend, Evil Uno's Mystery Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch it right here on Twitch.
Yep.
Local to me.
Free.
And
you know, you've got options, and fans are starting to realize that those options, cheaper options, are out there, and they can put on just as good a product as WWE. So there's going to be less fans, but there's always going to be the fan base that is going to be left is going to be the sheeple, the ones that are going to be conned into paying those high prices to keep guys like Nick Khan in business.
It's
there's
good
not going to be
because
change
it's
in this.
popular types.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then you've also got the LARPers and the tourists who come in and say, you know, this is a great thing because AEW sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Have you actually watched AEW? No, but I heard about it on the internet.
Mm-hmm. I got somebody mad at me when they were talking up about how much AEW is a Dune product, and I was like, that's a nice opinion there. Did Twitter give it to you?
The
You
people,
still believe in winner?
the same people that say AEW is a dead product or AEW is dying or they're going to go out of business in 5 years, t-shirt company, blah blah blah. If you actually think those people are the same people that said TNA was a dead business, that it was never going to be as good as WWE, it was never going to be this, it was never going to be that. TNA is still here nearly 25 years later. You know, they were a company that was going to be dead many, many times over. And it's the same thing with AEW. It's because it is popular, because it is an alternative that is not WWE, therefore it is going to die. Because it is not WWE, and we want everything to be WWE. We have generations of people who grew up in the WWE monopoly, and they don't know anything different. They don't know the real ECW. They never were around during when NWA was actually a good company. Mm-hmm. When WCW was around as the competition for WWE. They never had that opportunity to see something different. They grew up with WWE as the baseline product, and this is what wrestling is and will always is, should be, and always will be.
Yes.
And because of that mentality, they see something like TNA, they see something like AEW, they see MCW, they see House of Glory, all that stuff, and they go, these companies are gonna die because they're not WWE. Nobody's gonna be WWE but WWE. But the thing is, the wrestling crowd are seeing their options. They're seeing New Japan, they're seeing CMLL, they're seeing AEW, they're seeing the independents. And they're starting to watch them. Mm-hmm. They're starting to see some of the guys that may or may not sign to WWE in the future. And they're excited. They're like those shows. I could barely hear what's going on in the ring, and I could barely hear the commentary that's being piped into the audio feed because the crowds are so loud and vocal and having a great time. I watched WrestleMania. I swear I could hear crickets chirp.
Mm-hmm. Even the crickets were silent.
Because those crowds go to these things now, and they sit there and they just see guys going through the motions. But they go, yay, at the end of it, because that's what they've been conditioned to do. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not saying that WWE will never go out of business. They're going to be eternal. They're going to be around for many, many years to come. This is just another downturn in the WWE product. And they've gone through many beforehand, and they will go in many in the future.
Yeah. But for me personally, since I already know I'm not going to be enjoying a watch, and especially if I'm doing so solo. The only time I'm really going to be watching the Fed is if I'm with you guys, which is only going to happen mainly for the Big Four at most. Oh, and that's if I'm not double booked that night. And most of the week-to-week wrestling that I'm going to be watching is going to be places like AEW, like New Japan, like Noah, like CMLL. I've been trying to watch more of Dragon Gate lately, and the unique style that Dragon Gate has, even amongst that region, and plenty of others, because I don't need to be part of that conversation. One of the mantras that I have in this monastery is fans, not fandom. A lot of people join a fandom to be part of the conversation. I'm a fan of things, but I will always reject being part of any fandom. Because being part of a fandom in that regard means I do not have as much of a degree of independence. And
you don't like to follow blind loyalty. Mm-hmm. Essentially,
any loyalty should be earned.
Yes.
And because of that, I can pretty much stop watching anything from WWE tomorrow, and I will not lose an ounce of sleep. And I know some people say, "Oh, I'm never watching WWE again." I didn't for years. I still watched wrestling. I just didn't watch anything WWE. I can go right back and do that again.
Yeah, Matty and I were the same way, especially the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like Matty will admit, you will admit that you put it on mostly as background noise.
It has always been background noise for SmackDown. I've always been a Raw guy, but even that, I watch it for the opening promo and go right back to bed.
Yeah, like I became a seasonal watcher, and I've been this way for the last probably about 12, 13 years. I will come in from the start of January, which is the lead up to the Royal Rumble, and I will go through to the Raw after WrestleMania. And after that, I shut off for the year. Because that's meant to be their big storyline moment, or their storyline period.
Mm-hmm.
I tune in for that, and then I tune out for the rest of the year. I'll watch clips on YouTube or TikTok or something when they pop up on my feed. I don't go out of my way to watch anything. But since then, AEW's come into the picture. The three of us plus others have a Discord channel or Discord server where we watch AEW together weekly. We watch Dynamite, we watch Collision, we watch the pay-per-views. We're invested in that show now because it's the wrestling that we know and remember. Because you got to remember, a lot of us grew up during the Monday Night Wars, where you had WCW, which was a wrestling company, and then you had WWF or WWE, which was a story company. So AEW has now become that WCW replacement, just actually with investment money, because the Khans have enough to sink an entire Egyptian empire.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, like, we get together at other times. We'll watch Ring of Honor. We'll watch New Japan. We join together to if those of us who can and will stay up at God knows AM, at least in the US, to watch New Japan. We chuck on the odd CMLL or AAA show. We are wrestling fans. Wrestling has our loyalty, not any particular brand or company. Like, there are times where I might not want to be bothered watching AEW, which I'm not really at the moment with the whole Darby Allin thing. But I have it running in the background. I'll have something else going on. But when it comes to WWE now, I'm streaming from 8 till 10 on Mondays and Fridays. Or I'm a part of a stream anyway. So I've got other things going on, and I don't think I've actually watched a proper episode of SmackDown in easily 10 years.
Yeah. And
like I stopped giving a crap, and I like you, I don't lose any sleep over missing WWE product.
Oh, and that's that. Look, if I can tell the biggest tabletop company to kick rocks and and continue telling them that for years on end, I think I am on the right path. But that'll wrap it up for this particular episode of Geek Watch. I will be back on the interview train tomorrow, and of course this Thursday is the Valley of the Judged. I will note this: some of the people in the tabletop translation team have gotten a hold of something that might be of interest to some of the people watching this, because unofficially through Comiket, there is a project called Kamen Rider Masquerade Style, which is exactly what you think it is. especially if I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
That may get a fan translation in the future. If it does, you bet your sweet ass I'm talking about it. I don't expect that to happen for several months, but that is something to be aware of. And of course, there's plenty more. I will be doing the Cloister on Saturday, of course, and Faded Continuum on Sunday. So there's some stuff to keep an eye out for. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra, I am your gaming monk, and join the watch.